our top varsity football trainer. So it does, there is drama there, especially with the girls, but we try to corral it as best we can. Sometimes it's worse than others, but for the most part, we try to basically tell them, hey, this is like a job. If you get into a career somewhere, you may not like everybody you work with. You may not agree with everybody you work with or whatnot. You need to be flexible. You need to learn how to work with people and different personalities and how things go. And if you're not sure, you need to ask questions. Have communication with your superiors and whatnot, so we can fix a problem that's happened, or whatever needs to take place to make things run smoothly.
All right, Chris, so while we're on the topic of drama between student athletic trainers, do you have any tips, or do you just...
I don't deal with drama. That's my associate athletic trainers. I'm not gonna listen to it. I tell them kind of the same thing that the Allen athletic trainers tell them. It's a job. Any job you're going to get, there's going to be people you don't like. You may not like them, but you have to work with them, and we have to accomplish a goal, and it's taking care of these athletes. And so, if you can't put that aside, I'm going to get rid of you. Now, my associates might hold me back. We'll talk about it, but I'm not going to deal with it. It's a pain in the butt.
We had this year. It's been a little taxing with this group. There are a good group, but in the beginning of the year, boy, I'm telling you what, they were at each other, and we flat out told them, I said, look, you guys go in that locker room, you better have a come and Jesus me, you better have a resolution, you come out of there. Well, I think it just started up more of a hornet's nest, because they attacked each other. They did everything. There was kids crying. I had one to quit. And I said, get in here. I said, come here. And I said, what's going on? They said, this is just worse, da-da-da-da. And I said, you're not quitting. I said, you're going to wait 24 hours. You're going to come back here, and we'll talk about it. Well, she's still here. They duked it out again. They got some resolve, and there was something that happened pretty significant.
I don't remember, but
was it one of them? One of the girls ended up getting kicked out of her house or something, and was real upset. Left. Well, the girl that attacked her, she ended up. Her parents are divorced, and it's a long emotional thing with her, but the girl who attacked her in that meeting ended up going and talking with her, and they ended up laying it right out there on the carpet with each other, and we have not had any drama since then. It's just been they did bond over that, and so far since that time, it's been cohesive. But usually we'll just throw them in the locker room and say, look, you need to duke it out and figure it out, because we're not going to deal with this.
No.
I have a question. I know that lately in the media they've put things out with the girls and how they interact with the football players. And how do you go about telling them be professional with how you interact with them? Do you have rules that they can't date the football players or any other athletes? This is a question for both.
No, we don't. I've never put that rule in. I've never had that when we were in college. We talk to our students about that. Our coaches are very good. We did have some instances here in the past, and bottom line is our players will be kicked off. We've had that before with some not students dating, but inappropriateness out on the practice field. And our head coach is very adamant about that. He tells them up front, football wise. Our other coaches are the same way. And we'll get involved with it if something occurs. It's usually just one warning with the students and that. But our coaches are very aware of that, and we also talk to our students. And I think education, communication with them is the biggest thing. And if it gets to the point where we're seeing stuff here at the school, I'll actually I'll go and talk to the player off to the side and say, look, we're not doing this stuff around here, or we'll talk to our students about it as well. I think that's really the biggest thing you can do. I don't want to put limitations and parameters on our students.
Right. We don't condone it as well. I don't condemn it. I don't like it. I let our kids know that I don't like them dating the athletes. I don't like them dating each other. We have a problem with our student athletic trainers dating each other. I let them know that I don't like it because at some point in time you're going to break up, and then there's going to be more drama.
Right.
But who am I to say you can't do that? I don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's like, well, they're teenagers, so they're in love, so they're going to quit athletic training so that they can date this guy for another 3 weeks, so they can break up. Well, you're in love. So it's just one of those things. It's tough about the dating. You just have to, like both of them have said, teach them that it's a job, it's professional, it's not, which is really tough for high school kids to figure out what it means to be professional. And social media is one of the worst things that happen to high school kids. But if you're watching the live stream, there was a comment. There's 2 or 3 listeners, and Shakira put it up there. She showed it on the screen on the live stream. But I had the same thing. Is it Casey? What was the last name?
Pyle?
Casey Pyle said that they had a come to Jesus meeting, and then it just what does it say again?
My students had come to a Jesus meeting one time. Ended up with a bullying complaint.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened here. Is that we're like, okay, we're gonna let the kids handle it. Well, then somehow it got to people above me, the administration. It's like, well, I figured high school kids, we could just let them figure it out, handle it themselves. But now that there's all this bullying stuff, anything gets blown out of proportion. So that's one thing I really want to. I was really hoping you guys had an answer for me with 48 girls that you would say, there, this is the one thing that works every time, but apparently not. So.
Well, dealing with girls in general, I don't think there is just one sole thing.
I have a question.
You show them tender love and care the whole time. I mean, I treat them as my daughters.
We're the same way. We treat it as a family. We're a family, and we've all got a job to do, and everybody's going to work together to accomplish that task.
So I've seen the majority of high school athletic trainers being girls. Do y'all have a theory as to why, like, the boys don't want to participate as athletic trainers?
Let's start with Chris.
About 1/3 of our students are boys, and I try to recruit boys. I put on our application, pictures of girls, in sports bras and stuff, and I think sex sells. So hopefully we can get some boys recruited into our program, and it's worked for the most part. But the way we recruit them is if they have they have to be. We'll go to the 8th grade to the junior high. They have to have a 85 or higher grade average, and then I'll get a list of addresses for those students. We'll send them an application with a letter of interest from us, and then they'll either. And we get a lot of boys that send the application back. We'll interview them all, and if they're a boy, I can guarantee you they have a better chance of getting in our program.
I would say I kind of lean that way, but here in Pasadena, we're predominantly Hispanic, and it's a macho thing. That's all girls. I'm not going to help out the guys kind of thing. So it's changing a little bit. We got 2 guys now. We had some other guys apply, and so I think having guys in the program is going to help us gain more guys. But whenever I was in high school, it was about half guys and half girls. And I went to Adobe High School here in the same district, but different population, different time. So what do y'all think over there?
Well, I mean, it's hard for us to get boys in the program. When we do get some in there, they're actually really, really good. We've had a few come through here. None of them want to go on and do athletic training. I've got a couple of dentists, and I've got some who does wildlife management and things like that, but they enjoyed their time. I think our program's become to the point where now it's just pretty much girls who go in there, and then some of it is if they feel like they quit football or do something else, they just don't want to be around it. There's so much opportunity here now, and with so many different programs, they find something else to do. But if you take a look at the profession as a whole, especially the numbers that just came out in the NATA, 53% of the profession is female. I mean, you go back 15 years ago, that number was probably reversed in the program. So it has shifted that females dominate athletic training right now. Now, lifespan of females being in athletic or practicing as an athletic trainer are shorter due to family commitments and other things. But just the profession as a whole is female dominated now by 53%.
All right, so we talked briefly about the attendance that essentially what we did last year is we didn't really keep attendance and we didn't have any subjective way to keep track of our kids that were here and they weren't here or they were late and this kind of thing. So whenever we had talked to Chris, it was about this time last year, he told us that he has a spreadsheet and a point system, and so then we got that from him, and I took it and used Google Drive to make a form so that we can kind of make whatever works here using his thing. And so I think that together, Chris and I are going to be able to create something that works really well for, us here. I don't know what you guys do there, but why don't y'all tell me about how do y'all keep track of who's there? How do y'all keep track of who's earning those extra points?
Well, we have a 3-strike policy anyways here. So you want to explain a little bit about that? And against that, not showing up on time and doing your job will count against you.
Basically, our 3 strikes and you're out is anything that they're doing that is they're repetitively late, they're absent all the time because they have appointments or various things going on. They're not dressing out appropriately. We'll give them a strike. Grades. If they fail at a reporting period, not a progress, but a reporting period, then they'll get a strike. If they have earned 2 strikes, we're telling them, hey, you're going to have to really work at this to ensure that you don't get a 3rd one, because once they get the 3rd strike, they are basically released from the program. And then they can reapply for the next year, but not until that spring. So say, for instance, they were to get 3 strikes in the fall, they're done until the following fall, assuming that they get accepted again into the program. We don't have to go to that very often. Thank goodness we have a lot of great kids in here, and they do a great job. And if they do screw up once, then we don't ever find that they really screw up again. I mean, they learn from their mistake, and we'll pull them in and talk with them. Hey, we can't be doing this for this reason and whatever. We've got to fix this. How are we going to fix this? Whatever. And from that point on, it seems to be good. We haven't had to use the 3 strikes unless it's been grades in a very long time. If any, maybe once or twice total since we started that part of our program.
Oh, and one resolution we did too this year after the drama stuff, we put a note on the door that said 7+ and wrote names on there. And our varsity girls were like, well, what does 7+ mean? What does 7+ mean? I'm going, well, basically there's 7+ of you seniors. And I said, you guys can be replaced at any time with these names that are on this list. So that's the explanation for it. I said, figure it out real quick. I said, because we've never put this on this window, and it's going to stay on this window the rest of the season. And it's been there the rest of the season, and they've, from that point on, that's when they figured it out.
I guess with 77 student athletic trainers, you have the luxury of that. So Chris,
Yes.
Chris, in that situation, you're taking 10 to varsity games. You have 19, which is the most. I don't know that you necessarily have the luxury of, hey, all right, you're fired, just firing kids, because then you have a lot of things that are uncovered. What are your?
Well, we do. I'll fire them. I've done it with 4. When we first opened up, we had 4 students, and I remind them of that all the time. When they start getting on my nerves, I tell them I'll fire them all. I'll do it with 4 like I've done before, and then they usually straighten up. If it gets real bad and they really start making me angry, I'll pull them all out of class, and we'll have a come to Jesus meeting right there in the athletic training room. And if they don't straighten up, then I'm going to get rid of them. I find that it works. I think I've come to this point over my career. I didn't used to be like that. I would let them stick around a little longer, and what I found is that it makes it worse. It makes other people start to maybe be lazy or not do their job, and then it just spreads. So I try to nip it in the bud and take care of the problem right away. Because if you don't, then it just gets worse throughout your whole program.
All right, so we'll start with Chris. If we have a kid that isn't doing their job, but they're in our 4th period athletic training period, so we have them in that 4th period. Well, they don't have PE because that's all athletics that period. So what do you do? Because our counselors aren't going to move them mid-semesters from athletic training to PE, even though it's still a PE credit. what do you do with those kids that you're wanting to get rid of, but they have to be there because they're in